Caitlin Clark is the only woman in basketball to ever sign with Wilson Basketball, and she's the only athlete since Michael Jordan to do so.
If we're comparing a Caitlin Clark signature shoe release to anybody not named Michael Jordan, anybody not named LeBron James, you're being extremely disingenuous.
Basketball fans, you won't believe what has surfaced and how it will totally upend Nike's billion-dollar industry. Executives at Nike headquarters are genuinely sweating bullets over this tectonic upheaval. With a valuation of more than $200 billion, you are currently the largest sports brand in the world. And you recently signed what is being referred to as the next Michael Jordan in women's basketball. With Caitlin Clark signed to an 8-year, $28 million contract, you are essentially robbing her of her true value. You're sitting there looking like you have the key to printing money for the next 10 years. However, Wilson of all companies, has released an ad that is so flawless and emotionally compelling that it is forcing every member of Nike's marketing team reevaluate their own decisions.
When you strip away the noise and the bright lights, it's just the game you loved as a kid.
The worst part is this. Instead of using shoes, they used basketballs. However, the impact is going to alter everything. Allow us to illustrate Nike's current horror. Nike has completely collapsed during the past few years. We are discussing a business that has lost more than $100 billion in value since 2021. People were literally demanding that their CEO be sacked because things had become that horrible. And you know what? He was forced to resign. Nike was drowning in their own errors, while Adidas was prospering despite dissolving their Yeezy alliance. Nike's third quarter revenue is predicted to drop by 11.5% to $11 billion. It would be the biggest reduction since Nike's 38% drop in the fourth quarter of fiscal 2020 during the pandemic, according to statistics gathered by LSG. Nike started an ambitious comeback under Hill. However, according to Morningstar analyst David Schwartz, the massive sportswear company won't be able to boost sales with only one or two flashy new styles. It must establish an entirely new franchise, such as a line of goods with billions of dollars in sales. According to Sort, it takes years. However, Caitlin Clark, a generational talent that appears perhaps once every 10 years, was their savior. In college, this person was twice as recognizable as Angel Ree. Compared to the most well-known men's player, they are 4 times as popular. That is completely unheard of in the history of collegiate basketball. Every major sponsor was throwing money at her when she went pro. She was intended to be the face of the Curry brand by Under Armour. She stayed with Nike because of the way they promoted her in college, even though Adidas was prepared to spend a fortune. Everyone was anticipating the release of her iconic shoe, which would permanently alter women's basketball. This is when things become completely crazy, though. Nike declares that AJ Wilson would receive her trademark sneaker first while everyone is waiting for Caitlin's. A feature that should have infuriated every Nike stockholder was concealed in that announcement. According to them, Caitlin's shoe won't be available in stores until 2026 or possibly 2027.
People were even speculating that. But today was the Nike quarterly call, putting to rest any rumors that A, this wasn't a done deal, and B, there are renegotiations at the table. Something that this did clear up as well, it's looking like Caitlin Clark's shoe is coming in 2026.
Are you serious? For a shoe, 2 or 3 years? Allow me to explain how absurd this is. When LeBron James was being pursued by all the major brands in 2003, Nike was so eager to sign him that they began creating his shoe before he signed with them. To keep it a secret, they used the code name Air Zoom Nobel LeBron backwards. 3 months from conception to his feed, LeBron was sporting the LeBron ones for his NBA debut.
If we're comparing a Caitlin Clark signature shoe release to anybody not named Michael Jordan, anybody not named LeBron James, you're being extremely disingenuous. Extremely disingenuous. We can't compare abnormality to normal behaviors. We can't compare the extreme case, the rarest of the rare case, to an average Joe Schmo walking down the street singing do I did it dum diddy do. We can't be doing that. We only compare Clark to Jordan, Clark to James, Clark to Tiger, Clark to Gretzky, Clark to Ali. That's it.
As a result, Nike changed its timeline from 3 months to 3 years. There is a real problem here, and it is about to be revealed in the most embarrassing way imaginable. Major publications asked why people were upset about Caitlin's shoe deal when she signed it. The dispute. Even though Clark had not yet participated in a WNBA game, several fans contended that A.A. Wilson ought to have received her shoe before Clark. Here's the problem, though. Fairness is not the focus of business. It has to do with what generates revenue. Tim Duncan was outsold by Allen Iverson in them. Shoes, even if Duncan is a superior player. Nike tested Tim Duncan's shoes twice, but both times they were canceled due to low sales. And you know what? Tim Duncan understood business, so he didn't give a damn. However, A.A. Wilson is not Tim Duncan. Nike is actively promoting her by using her in advertisements and billboards. This is where it becomes quite uncomfortable. She has made several dubious remarks regarding the privilege of white athletes. Speaking about Paige Buchers, she stated that her success as a player was influenced by her privilege and added that her skill at basketball was practically an afterthought.
Black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say it's not really about me. And she knows how her privilege got her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. Like, she understands her privilege and like, pushes her over the top in a sense. It reminds me a lot.
The Olympic roster for Team USA did not include Caitlin. The official explanation for why she hasn't yet earned it. When Christian Laettner was added to the 1992 Olympic Dream Squad, he had no prior NBA experience. However, Caitlin Clark will not be participating in this. When Diana Taurasi joined the 2004 Olympic squad as a WNBA rookie, her stats were comparable to Clark's. Nevertheless, Caitlin Clark is still inadequate 20 years later. However, as a rookie, she went on to dominate, leading all rookies in several categories, placing 4th in the MVP voting, making the first team All-WNBA, and turning around WNBA viewership all by himself. Regular WNBA games receive 300,000 viewers, compared to an average of over 1 million. Her first playoff game ticket was more expensive than all the other WNBA playoff games put together. In order to accommodate the large crowds that came to see her, the Washington Mystics had to relocate to the Wizards Arena. Everywhere she played, she broke WNBA attendance records. In the end, even Team USA acknowledged that it was a mistake to leave her off the squad. However, Nike is still holding back because they are too afraid to release their most marketable athlete. Everything changed after Wilson released their commercial. This isn't your average advertisement. Nike's latest endeavors seem like amateur hour in this masterclass in emotional storytelling. That lovely message opens the commercial. It's just the game you loved as a child when the bright lights and sounds are removed. Boom. Directly in the fields. Wilson steps in and captures the spirit of why we initially fell in love with basketball, while Nike is immobilized by politics and scared to properly sell their biggest star. Feet on the hardwood, basketball in hand, guiding you, inspiring you, working on the player you dream to be, because the ball will always bring you back to your favorite place, the commercial goes on. Composed, concentrated, and self-assured. This marketing is brilliant. They are not attempting to negotiate cultural politics or sell shoes. Dreams, nostalgia, and an unadulterated passion for the game are what they are selling. And who is this ideal message's face? Nike is also a player, Caitlin Clark. Afraid to properly advertise. Here's why this is so disastrous for Nike, though. Caitlin Clark became the only female basketball player to sign with Wilson, and she is the only athlete to have this kind of relationship with them since Michael Jordan. Take a moment to consider that. She is being placed in the same discourse as MJ. Nike's marketing team will be plagued by the catchphrase, Caitlin, always basketball, for years to come. Wilson just positioned themselves as the real basketball brand that prioritizes the game over anything else, while Nike is sitting on their hands worrying about social media reaction. Additionally, the basketballs themselves are messages rather than merely goods. 4 months, Wilson's crew studied every aspect of Caitlin, including her interests, favorite color, and what she would be like if she weren't a basketball star. They even kept an eye on her wardrobe and social media usage. She is being treated like a celebrity. Nike, meanwhile, views her as a political liability. According to Wilson's senior director of global production, Christopher Rickard, the team started with 50 design concepts and reduced them. The color wasn't always correct. The pattern didn't always work. Sometimes an idea that seemed fantastic on paper didn't quite work out. The response to the commercial, which debuted alongside a brand new range of basketballs scheduled for distribution on June 23, has been overwhelming. Basketball enthusiasts are complimenting Wilson for staying away from cultural politics and concentrating on the game, calling it the best basketball advertisement in years.
The sounds of this interview, it seems like she's probably going to make more money overseas in EuroLeague than she did during this WNBA season. The commissioner told her that she could make $700,000 playing in the...
The message is universal, and the emotional impact is indisputable. You consider the reasons for your passion for basketball. That's the power of effective marketing, and Nike ought to have done just that with their largest female basketball player. Rather, they are watching from the sidelines while Wilson demonstrates the process. Both basketball fans and marketing professionals have complimented the commercial, which has been viewed millions of times and shared on all social media platforms. Wilson just demonstrated that everything else falls into place when you concentrate on the proper things. Skill, sincerity, and passion for the game. Everything is altered by this as it reveals Nike's cowardly approach. They are willing to squander the greatest chance in women's basketball history because they are so terrified of upsetting specific people. Wilson, in the meantime, is developing a connection with a generational talent that may yield benefits for many years. The basketball community is observing and documenting. Other companies will take over and teach Nike how to effectively market their own athletes if they fail to do so. Wilson's first shot was a perfect bullseye. Nike needs to wake up quickly because Wilson is making history while they are preoccupied with handling politics. You either step up or get stepped on in business, just as in basketball. Wilson recently demonstrated that they are more adept at the game than the so-called experts. Despite the fact that the game has altered, Nike's greatest nightmare is about to come true, and this is just the beginning. What are your thoughts on this? Please leave a remark below.